The situation going from bad to worse this morning.
They started evacuating, I think, at 12 in the morning or 1 in the morning.
For a part of the country that has already seen too much rain. After nearly half a year in space, 4 astronauts splashed down off the Florida coast. Music and dance.
You know, bring a little happiness to the world. It makes everything a little better.
Taking over Miami's Virginia Key. And taking a hike to put a stop to heart disease. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Samantha Gutierrez.
I'm Elena Key. Today is Monday, March 13th, 2023.
Live from the FIU Lee Kaplan School of Journalism and Media, this is SFMN Newsbreak.
A call for action this morning to get answers after the murder of Cuban human rights activists. A group of bipartisan senators are asking the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights to release details about the investigation of Oswaldo Paya's murder.
Reporter Claudia Morales from our DC Bureau is in Washington this morning.
I'm outside the Cuban embassy, and this street that you see behind me could be renamed Oswaldo Paya Way to honor the memory of this Cuban political reformer. The legislation introduced by a group of bipartisan senators in June last year aims approval to rename the street after Oswaldo Paya, a Cuban civic leader and democracy activist who was killed in a car crash orchestrated by the Cuban government in 2012. According to Republican Senator Ted Cruz, this could send a powerful message to the Cuban dictatorship and the world.
Members of the Cuban government who deal with the embassy will have to acknowledge that Paya existed and that this hero who was wrongfully murdered was real. They will have to say his name.
At a young age, Paya manifested his opposition to the Castro dictatorship and was forced to work in a labor camp. Despite the constant intimidation and harassment from the Cuban regime, Paya led the Varela Project, a referendum that promoted democracy and freedom of speech and religion. He collected approximately 25,000 signatures of Cuban citizens that wanted a change of government in the island.
The world have been exposed to the Cuban communist propaganda, but not so to the Cuban reality. They know about the Che Guevara and Fidel Castro. They know about the killers of the Cuban people, but they do not know about the heroes of the Cuban people. And this renaming is going to be a very clear statement of what the Cuban people want, which is freedom.
On a letter sent to the Secretary of the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, the senators urged the organization to release the details of Paya's murder. After a battle of almost 10 years, Oswaldo Paya families hopes that the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights will finally publish the report. In Washington, D.C., I'm Claudia Morales for the South Florida Media Network.
President Biden will be addressing the nation today after the collapse of a financial institution. The president will be discussing how the U.S. will maintain a steady banking system. The Silicon Valley Bank crumbled on Friday morning, leaving customers concerned about how they will access their funds. In a statement, the White House said Americans can be sure that their bank deposits are safe.
Former Vice President Mike Pence is publicly rebuking former President Trump's role in the January 6th insurrection, saying that history will hold Trump accountable. On Saturday, Pence spoke in D.C. at the annual Gritty Run Club dinner. During the dinner, he slammed Trump, saying that his reckless words endangered Pence's family and everyone at the Capitol that day. Pence also said that Trump was wrong for claiming he could overturn the results of the 2020 election and chastise Republicans who minimized the insurrection.
After a series of storms, millions of Californians are bracing this morning for yet another weather event coming their way. An atmospheric river event is expected to hit the state today, bringing even more flooding to central and northern California. The storm comes immediately after the flooding of the Pajaro River on Friday, which required local officials and emergency rescue crews to save residents stuck in flooding.
They started evacuating, I think, at 12 in the morning or 1 in the morning. They just started, the National Guard, so just taking people out as they go.
The storm that will hit the state today is the 11th atmospheric river of the winter season, and Californians are being encouraged to avoid travel and stay clear of waterways.
Newly released video this morning shows a heart-stopping police chase. As the network's Elizabeth Garcia reports, authorities near Minneapolis are using this as a part of a death investigation.
I got a vehicle that's fleeing from me and it looks like it's going to crash here.
Body camera and squad car video show the tail end of a chase on July 3rd.
81 drivers bailing.
Between Robbinsdale police and Khalil Azad, a 26-year-old from Buffalo, who police say was speeding and driving on the wrong side of the road with two passengers, including his brother in the white SUV.
I'm shaking up. Well, hell yeah, the guy's driving like an idiot.
Azad runs before police catch him. Then police on body camera find drugs in the car.
Where'd you find the cocaine?
On the center console.
On it?
Yeah, and it's wrapped up in a dollar bill.
Yeah, because there's weed.
I grabbed the weed and the cocaine.
Why would he be fleeing if he didn't have something on him he's not supposed to? We did find drugs in the car.
Police look, but don't find Azad.
I don't know what's back here besides the lake.
2.5 days later, on July 5th, someone finds Azad's body floating in Crystal Lake in Robbinsdale. 2 months later, the medical examiner rules his death was an accidental freshwater drowning with recent methamphetamine use as a contributing factor. But gruesome photos of Azad's body recently started circulating on social media, and his family and activists have held protests because they think Azad was actually beaten by police and bitten by canines. Following the release of hours of body camera footage, they are still calling for more.
If agencies involved are being completely transparent about whether or not they encountered Khalil Ahmad Azad after he fled.
For the South Florida Media Network, I'm Elizabeth Garcia.
Astronauts touched down back to Earth after spending 5 months at the International Space Center. SpaceX's Crew 5 were sent to conduct scientific research experiments and run a regular maintenance checkup of their now 20-year-old space station. Crew 5 made their landing splashing into the Gulf of Mexico near Tampa.
Thousands of people gathered in South Florida to walk and raise funds with the American Heart Association. It was yesterday at the Nova Southeastern University campus in Davie.
The American Heart Association Broward Heart Walk has been going on in our South Florida community for more than a decade now, and the goal really is to raise funds for heart research programs in our community to help with food security, nutrition, hypertension, creating awareness, but really bringing people together. With sponsors and donations, this event raised over $1.2 million.
So the money goes to a lot of research, education, which is very important since heart disease and stroke are the #1 and #5 killer of Americans year after year. I am here, I'm walking because I'm a heart survivor. 2 years ago, I had an unexpected heart attack and I happened to be at work. So I'm very happy that, I survived, and now this has been a mission that's near and dear to me.
My son, who's now 14, he had a heart murmur as a baby. I didn't know where to go and what to do, and I didn't know a lot of information on heart murmurs or heart disease, but I'm glad now that the Heart Walk is continuing to be so productive in the community that people are becoming more and more aware of heart disease and stroke and how they can prevent it.
So throughout the year, the American Heart Association here in South Florida has several campaigns. We have Miami Heart Walk that happens in December every year. Our Broward Heart Walk is every spring. But we have Go Red for Women Luncheon in May. We have our South Florida Heart Walk coming up Sunday, April 15th. So we have year-round activations for people to be able to engage with us.
For general information or to find the American Heart Association events near you, visit www.heart.org.
Many movies were honored at last night's Oscars, but there was one film that seemed to be everything, everywhere, all at once.
That's still ahead, and so is this story.
Bring a little happiness to the world. It makes everything a little better.
South Florida music lovers hit the beach in Virginia Key. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
How prepared is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly.
Lights out.
And put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
I help our fellows design their paths as creative entrepreneurs. My experiences serving startups, creative businesses, and cultural organizations, and my journey as a queer mixed immigrant with Haitian and Arabic roots, inform the co-creative environment we foster at Radcliffe. We leverage our collective diversity to encourage the building of lifelong personal learning networks and mindsets that stimulate continuous innovation.
Right on key, music in Miami over the weekend hit the perfect note for festival goers. The Grassroots Festival celebrated a decade on Miami's Virginia Key.
The network's Julie Desaris has your front row seat.
Virginia Key Beach and Park welcomes back the Grassroots Festival for its 10th year. One full decade of camping with RVs, fun, and lots of music. Campers tell us that they've been here since Wednesday. That's almost one full week. Let's go see what they're up to.
I've been camping here since Sunday. Been going to this festival for about 5 years off and on, and it means family and friends and good music, you know.
Life happens fast when you're young, and the Grassroots Festival provides a great way to take time to enjoy life and slow down. From musical performances to aero yoga and even beachside workshops, this festival offers something for everyone. It is finally time to unplug and unpack it all for this week long of fun. Whether you came for the grassroots music or the beach waves, you came for a fun-loving good time, and we wouldn't have it any other way.
So my name's Chris Everson, and I'm stage manager here at the Virginia Key Grassroots, and this is my first year at this particular Grassroots event. I actually stage managed the main stage at the Finger Lakes Grassroots Festival, and I've been doing that one for a year, but I've been with the festival about 6 years now. And I do this because I used to be a musician, and then I retired and decided to focus more on supporting the musicians and building communities so that we can all thrive. You know, bring a little happiness to the world. It makes everything a little better.
So if you like what you saw, be a happy camper and join us the same time next year. I'm Julia Cesaris for the South Florida Media Network.
Hollywood star Jamie Lee Curtis at the Oscars last night, where she took home the Best Supporting Actress award for the movie Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. This was just one of the 10 Oscars that the movie won last night, including Best Picture, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Supporting Actor. Everything Everywhere All at Once also made history last night as Michelle Yeoh won the Oscar for Best Actress, becoming the first Asian woman to do so. Other movie winners last night included The Whale, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and All Quiet on the Western Front.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Elena Key.
I'm Samantha Gutierrez. Get more news anytime at sfmn.fiu.edu.